Actually, the thing I do need to do is put the sill on. But first of all, I'm going to dig down in this corner and have a look at the state of the seatbelt mounting point. Since on the other side it needed repair, it's almost certain this one will do as well, and it'd be best to do that before the sill's on, because otherwise there'd be even more limited access from the outside. So I have a bit more of a tidy up, and then pull back the carpet and see what that looks like. Oh yeah, that needs some attention. You can see the water's got in between the mount plate and the body, and this is it bulging out as it rots. So the question is going to be, can we move this? I shall give it a go. It's out. I was really struggling by hand, and then I found it would move with a 27mm socket. So I put that on the rattle gun, and that worked. So I guess it's time to cover some stuff up and cut more holes in the floor. Okay, while I'm trying desperately not to, while I'm here, this whole car, because that's not the point of it, can't help but not see this area. So it's been plated over underneath, but you can see that it's, well, there's the hole that must have been being patched, or some of it at least. And I don't think I should leave this bit. I want to do a proper repair here, because I suspect whatever's been put over has not been painted underneath. So, you know, this is just probably going to need this section taken out. Which means I need to move the loom. Which means I need to take the rear seat and trims out. But I did need to do that anyway, because I did have to cut out. Oh, am I going to need a camera in there? No. Oh yeah, you can just see in the corner. I had to cut the seatbelt in the end to send them off to be rebuilt, because I couldn't get that bolt out. So I was going to need to take these trims off anyway to access that better. So yeah, kind of makes sense. I also want to try and move the hood a little bit further forward, because despite my trial fitting and testing and everything before, it seems like the frame needs to come a little bit forward, which would be good on the driver's side, as it never fit very well against the rear window, so that should pull that in, which, yeah. Anyway, to do this, we can see through the window, I've got to take out all these rivets along the top of the hood well. Sorry, that is the top of the hood well, along the top of the back of the seat and the side trims, and there should be some screws between the side trims and the rear seat, but there aren't. I don't think I've left them in. So I'm going to get that out, and then we'll do some welding. There's the rear seat and trims out. You see, this was my trick for not being able to find long enough or short enough staples when because these are made out of marine ply now. So there's a little bit of cardboard just padding so they don't go all the way through. That's the dark empty body of the car. But I've got my access for the seatbelt now. I should be able to pull the loom through. So, progress. There, the hood goes up. And as a bonus, it's actually slightly closer around here. It's still, you know, you can still stick your fingers through the gap, but it's a slight improvement. Okay, so I'll get the compressor charged up, try and get that seatbelt knot out and the loom pulled through. Fortunately, the rattle gun won, so that's loose. It's not going back in, but it's just there to keep the fittings in the same place. So, gonna get some stuff cleaned up and, well, get some stuff covered up and then get this corner cleaned up a bit so I can see what I'm working with. You see I've got a bit of copper wire going through the where the wiring loom goes under the B-post, to hopefully be able to pull it back through again. Went with wire rather than string, given I'm going to be welding really close to this, so chances of burning a little bit of twine or something are quite high. Anyway, as I said, going to do a bit of tidying up. So there's what we're dealing with. The existing repair, you can see the weld line that's been put over there. So we've got a little bit of damage extending out into the bit of the floor that hadn't been plated over. It is worst in the corner that had been. And I can see it's, well, there's a hole underneath, there's a hole in the heel board seam as well. You can see it's going into that heel board overlap too. And this is it underneath. So there's the hole behind the B-post. So I'm still trying to decide if I take this off or if I just cut around it. I probably will try and cut most of it off, because that gives me a better kind of visualization of what's going on, what I need to make. So that's the old repair cut off. That's what we're looking like inside. Pretty much the same. And you can see the old patch had started to go through in the middle. Looks a bit worse underneath, but it's just that bit. Obviously this must have been the bit that was originally gone, so it's just really a triangle. You can do that quite easily by, you know, a couple of bends, and you've got a triangular shaped piece to go in. I'm going to have to repair a little bit of this. It's a little awkward to get to, but it'll be fine. Yeah, time to start cutting out some new metal. So there we have the hole in the floor and what came out of it. Ow. So it's not actually as complicated as it first looks. It really is just, so we're going to be able to make two bends to make that step there, two bends to make that step there. They're going to meet at a point, so it's going to be a hard kind of triangle shape at that end. Can do a bit of hammer work to round that out, and that's where the cable goes under, or it's where the loom goes under. Then there's a tiny bit of a roll at the edge to meet up with where the floor, to meet up with how the floor bends. But that's it. Then we've got to do a little L shape to go and replace the bit of the heel board that's come out. Right, so there's the bit of floor. And for this, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut myself a rectangle that's a bit bigger than this. I'm going to make this bend, this pair of bends parallel to one of the sides. So we make that bit. Then I'll be able to figure out that angle. Make those bends. probably wants a little bit of a curve putting in the end, and do it with a hammer over a bit of pipe, and then it'll be trimming it to the right sort of shape. There's also this little overlap piece, so I'll find a bit of scrap that's about that size, make the bend, make a bit of a curve again. I might either try and hammer form that, or possibly do it on the shrinker stretcher, but it's, you know, I need quite a big more material to be able to actually make the little bend right in the corner. Anyway, let's get the bigger bit done. Okay, so we've got this shape now. So you've seen I made one bend with the brake, and then used the back of that thing to kind of just bend it over to get the double curve. This one I didn't get quite right, but it actually wanted to be a bit softer, so just had a bit of a bash over the T-dolly, and that seems to have worked. I've had a look on the car, and it looks like it'll meet up fine. I mean, bearing in mind this is under the floor, so if this joint is not perfect, I can cope with that. The important bit is this is meeting up nicely with the bottom of the B-post where the wiring is going to run. So I think what I'll do now is try and flatten this end down and put the tiniest bit of curve on this edge, meet up with that curve on the floor. Right, so I couldn't get that completely flat. It obviously would need to shrink quite a lot for that to happen. But I don't need. This is supposed to meet up with a shape on the outside of the edge of the floor. So I think this is going to be a little bit of manipulating it on the car when the rest of it's welded, just to get that to meet up. Otherwise, I think I'm quite happy, and I'm going to start cutting it to fit the hole in the car. So that's where it's going to go. There's a little more trimming to do. That top left corner is a bit tight, but I think I'm going to do that as I tack it on the car. So the bit that's going to be under the B-post, I'm going to give a bit of a coat of some weld-through primer, and then when that's dry, start to get this welded in. Although that's had a bit of a grind down, I've not gone too overboard because it's not visible and it's not very accessible. And that's it inside. Again, not gone too crazy. I'm just searching out a bit of scrap that I can bend up to fill this hole in the heel board, and then I'm going to have to go and do a little bit more around the bottom of the B post because there's some feet that should be there. It at least needs a bit of clean up. Then time to get all the bit that I was going to do in the first place and get the seatbelt mount. So I just made a straight bend, and I've turned this edge around on the edge of my bit of bar here, and then just on a wooden block to kind of get the tiny bit of shrink that's needed to turn that corner. I think that'll work. So that little bit's primed and ready to go in. Then after that, a couple of little bits to the bottom of the B post and the actual seatbelt mount point to do. So that hole filled in, done a little bit of put a tiny little piece in the bottom here. There it is underneath. So I'm going to see what I can cut out around the seatbelt mount point. I'm getting close to done. That's the seatbelt mount extracted. The actual plate isn't in quite as bad a condition as the other side, but still not in the it's necessary to keep it category. So I'm going to do the same thing. Got myself a thick bit of steel, weld this nut onto it, plate inside the car, and weld that all together. Got a little rectangle, well, rectangle-ish, tacked in place. So I'm going to build the actual seatbelt mounting reinforcement plate and weld them both in together. So there's my reinforcement plate cut. I've got the old nut off and cleaned up and bolted to the plate, so now I'm going to get it welded around the edges. So there's that side welded in. And just about to see the plate on the back there. So I've got a bit of grinding to do, and then that's this chunk of welding done, and should be all I need to do for this iteration of repair work. Hopefully. I'm not sure how I managed to miss this before. I found another hole. It's in quite an awkward place. However, I think I should just be able to reach it. It's clearly been there a long time because you can see it's coated in the under seal stuff that's on the car. That I came in a long time before, well, before I got the car. How long? Don't know. And I guess this is why the bottom of the floor was rotting out, because stuff was coming in here and going down. Anyway, let's see what I can do about it. Well, I've made something that looks like it should fit. It's not the... Well, I didn't film it because it's not really the most elegant of metal shaping, but I kind of gave that a bash over some open vice jaws, and then had to shrink using the shrinker stretcher to shrink a bit there to kind of pull that in, join everything up. So it should meet up with the existing body shapes and be able to go in there. I think I might, I don't like this, but I think I might have to lap weld it just because of the position and the difficulty it's going to be to get any sort of tools in there. Yeah. Is this the last one? Hopefully. I've got that in there. My lineup on the pressing, the rounded sort of indent there wasn't particularly good, but you know, for where it is and how awkward it was to get to, that's fine. I ended up butt welding it because, well, first of all, I just still didn't like the idea of doing an overlap, but also kind of to the left of where we're looking now, that's actually just underneath the lip of the B-post inside the door shot, or just inside the body. So, yeah, I didn't want to leave that sort of hanging, not on top of a bit of metal. Right. So maybe now we're done with rust repair. I think I might call this video done here. There's a little bit of grinding to do, a little bit of painting to do, and the interior panels to chuck back in. And when that's done, car's ready for the engine. I'm still waiting. But with that, thanks for watching, thanks for commenting, thanks for subscribing, and see you next time.